welcome back to my channel. The upcoming Thursday is Halloween, so this is my Halloween special. I'm sure you know a lot about Halloween, but for the sake of my comparison with the Chinese Ghost Day, I'm just going to mention a few things I find interesting about Halloween. Halloween originally was a Celtic festival celebrated on the 1st of November in Ireland. But when it was adopted as a Christian holiday, when Pope Gregory III moved their All Saints' Day to the 1st of November in the 8th century CE. So, the 31st of October became known as Halloween. That is why this holiday is known as 万圣节 or the 10,000 Saints' Day in Chinese. In the early 800s, the Irish immigrant brought many Halloween traditions to the North America which are kept until today. It is quite interesting, both 中元节 or the Chinese Ghost Day and the Halloween are initially celebrations for the autumn harvest and warding off evil spirits. So there are a lot of similarities between the two holidays. However, there are also significant differences due to their historical and cultural context where they are celebrated. Today, I'm going to talk a bit about the Chinese myth about afterlife and the related underworld. Then I'll translate a poem by Li He about leading the newly dead to their resting places. I would also talk briefly about the different attitude towards the ghosts and other supernatural entities during the Chinese Ghost Day and the Halloween. Is there any holidays in your culture that celebrate the autumn harvest or honor the dead? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about the classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and traditional Chinese medicine. Please click the like button and subscribe my channel. Your support is very important to me. Any small donation to my channel is much appreciated so that I can get the technical support and focus my attention on making better videos for you. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on the subjects. So, if you would like to have personally tailored lessons on these subjects or read the classic Chinese text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Now, let me talk a bit about the Chinese myth about the underworld of the dead. Since ancient time, the Chinese believe there are three very different realms for all the beings and entities. They are 天界, or the heavenly realm, where all the immortals and deities reside. 地界, or the underworld realm, where reside all the ghosts, the hell, and the underworld officials such as 土地神, or the local god. 黑白无常, the Chinese Grim Reaper, 阎王, or the kings of the hell, and the 人界, or the human realm, where all the living things reside, including human beings. The heavenly realm is also called 仙界, or the immortal world. The human world, 阳间, or the realm of the living, and the underworld, 阴间, or the realm of the dead. The concept of the three realms is closely related to the concept of 三才, or the three constituents of the universe. In a commentary of 易经, 说卦, or the explication of the hexagrams, it is stated that the hexagram set up the Tao of heaven as yin and yang, the Tao of the earth as soft and hard, the Tao of humans as humanity and justice. Yi Jing presents the three constituent Taos by double the three-lined trigrams. Hence, 6 lines make up one hexagram. Here, San Cai refers to the 3 realms of Tian Di, Ren, or heaven, earth, and human. Note that the Di, or the earth, here does not refer to the sphere we live on. Instead, it refers to the underworld of the dead. All the names representing Di as the realm of the dead are associated with the underworld, such as Huangquan, or the Yellow Spring. Dark places such as Youdu, or the Dark City, Yuming, or the Dark Abyss. The yin energy such as Yin Fu, or the Yin Residence, etc. The belief of the underworld of the dead is also closely related to the ancient ideas about human souls. Ancient Chinese believed that every human being possesses 10 souls. 3 of them are made of yang energy from heaven, and 7 of them are made of yin energy from the underworld. When his or her 10 souls are well integrated as a unit, a person is healthy. If a person lost any of the 10 souls, or if the 10 souls are not properly integrated, the person will get sick. There are many different versions of these 10 souls according to different religious sectors in China and the folklores. But here I'm just going to go with the most popular folklore. According to the Chinese folklore, the 3 yang souls are Shenhun, or the soul of the living, which human being shares with all the other living creatures, including all the fauna and flora. Juehun, or the waking soul, which only human and animal have. It is in charge of memory and sensory experiences. Linhun, or the spiritual soul, which only human being has. And it gives humans the sense of right and wrong, as well as their cognitive capacity. Po, or the 7 yin souls, come from the yin energy of the earth and the underworld. It represents the physique and emotions of a person. These 7 po govern the basic physical and physiological functions such as movement, breathing, or heartbeats, etc., as well as regulating emotions. The concept of po is articulated in more detail in medical texts. For instance, according to traditional Chinese medicine, a person with all his or her po intact should be able to sleep like a baby. People with damaged po would not be able to regulate their emotions effectively and might be prone to emotional outbursts such as anger control issues, depressions, or could not control their desires, etc. Chinese mythology about the underworld of the dead is mostly related to the 3 yang souls because the yin souls dissolve when a person dies, while the yang souls remain. The 3 yang souls goes to different places after the dead person was judged in the underworld. The spiritual soul goes to heaven. When a king or an emperor offers sacrifices to the spirits of their ancestors, it is the spiritual soul receiving the offering. The same goes with the commoners when they burn the paper money or make other offerings. It is the spiritual souls of their deceased parents or grandparents receiving these gifts. The waking souls are the ones goes to the underworld. It is also the waking souls judged by the underworld officials, rewarded or punished for the person's deed committed during his or her lifetime. The living soul is also called 守尸魂, or the guardian soul of the body, which stays at the dead person's grave. If the burial site has good feng shui, this soul will bring good fortune for the dead person's descendants, while the bad feng shui of the burial site will bring misfortune to his or her descendant. According to the Chinese folklore, there is a life register in the underworld that specifies the lifespan of every living person. Once a person reached his or her allocated lifespan, note, this is not the natural lifespan. It is the period a person is allocated in the living world. Once a person reached his or her allocated lifespan, a pair of Grim Reaper are sent to collect the person. This pair is called 黑白无常. They would check with the local god or the city god to make sure they have got the right person. Sometimes they took the wrong person, and there is a lot of funny stories about what happens when they made such mistakes. Then they would hand the newly dead over to the underworld police called 牛头马面, or the ghost god with a bull head and a god with a horse face. They would take the dead person first, go through the 鬼门关, or the ghost gate path, which is the path separating the living world from the underworld. Then they would travel along 黄泉路, or the Yellow Spring Road. There are a particular kind of red flowers called 彼岸花, or the flowers of the other side, or the red spider lily along the road, reminding the dead person that he or she has died by now. The last step before the dead person's final departure from the living world is to cross the Wangchuan, or the Amnesia River, or the Chinese Lethe River. The dead person then crosses 奈何桥, or the hopeless bridge over the Lethe River. There is an old lady named 孟婆, or Auntie Meng, who sells 迷魂汤, or the amnesia soup, by the hopeless bridge. The amnesia soup would erase all the memory of the dead person. But drinking the amnesia soup is not compulsory. Some of the dead refused to drink it because they could not let go of someone or something. These ghosts would stay around the Lethe River or even go back to the living world sometimes. Once the dead person crossed the Lethe River and drank the amnesia soup, he or she will be taken to one of the courts of the Hell Kings to be judged. If the dead person was a good one throughout his or her life, their spiritual souls will be escorted to heaven. Their waking souls go to the tablet at their family's ancestor hall, and their living souls return to their grave. There are a lot of stories about what happens to people who were not good or committed serious crimes, or people who died of violent death. Many of them became the hungry or angry ghosts haunting the places where they died or were killed. This is just one version of the many different versions of what happened to a person after she or he died. The narratives change over time and across the different regions in China. I would love to hear your version of the journey to the underworld in your region or culture. Apparently, this folklore about the dead person's journey to the underworld was firstly shaped by the Chinese philosophy of yin and yang. The universe is marked with three overlapping realms. The heavenly realm, which is pure yang and intangible to human sensory faculties under normal circumstances. The ghost realm, which is pure yin and also inaccessible to human, and the living realm, which is a mix of yin and yang energy so that it is accessible to human faculties under normal circumstances. However, once a person is dead, his or her once integrated 10 souls fall apart, and each of them return to their state of pure yin or yang. Hence, the other two realms become accessible to his or her souls again. Of course, this narrative about death and the underworld was significantly modified once Buddhism was established and became a popular religion during and after the Tang Dynasty. This is another story I would love to tell one day in the future. Another interesting point I would like to mention is that the concept of poor is redefined in the medical text because of its close connection with the body and emotion of a person. I would also love to explain this one day. Please let me know if you're interested in this topic in the comment section down below. Now, let's turn our attention to today's poem. This is another poem by the famous 尸鬼, or the ghostly poet of the Tang Dynasty, Li He. It is the third poem in a 5-poem set in the title of 感讽, or Shorts and Satires. It is a set of poems reflecting on the suffering of the commoners and the satires about his own foolish pursuit of power and fame, as well as his own failure in pursuing them. Many Chinese historians believe that this set of poems was composed between 811 to 813 CE, when Li He was Feng Li Lang, or the ritual officer at the court. The 810s were a politically restless time. Several emperors, since the victory against the Andalusian rebellion in the 760s, attempt to cut down the power of military governors and warlords. Hence, there were many rebellions by these warlords against the court. During the early 800 CE, the then Emperor Li Chun had successfully defeated several rebellions. But there were still many local warlords who were resentful towards the emperor because of his efforts to cut down their power. In 815 CE, a warlord named Li Shidao sent several assassins to the capital and killed the then premier Wu Yuanheng in the bright daylight on his way to the court. They even cut off his head and took it with them. Another important official named Pei Du, who supported the policy to cut down the power of the warlords, was also seriously injured by the assassins. But he escaped alive by rolling into the ditch by the highway. I posted a video about the political unrest of the time, the assassination of the premier, and a poem dedicated to Li Shidao earlier. If you would like to check out the details, here's the link. Anyway, as you can see, the 810s was a time of political unrest. heavy taxation, and many wars between the royal army and the local warlords. As a minor official in charge of the ritual sacrifices for the cult, Li He witnessed many killings and deaths. It is not surprising our sensitive and sickly poet Li He composed many death-related poems. What is unique about this particular poem is that our poet took the stand-off view of the newly dead in this poem. Now, let me read this poem in Chinese first. 南山何其悲，鬼雨洒空草。长安夜半秋，风前几人老。低迷黄昏尽，袅袅清丽道。月无树无影，一山为白晓。栖居迎新人，幽旷萦扰扰。Now, let's look at the first couplet. 南山何其悲，鬼雨洒空场。南 means south, san means mountain. 何其 means how. 悲 means sad. Nanshan refers to Zhongnanshan, which had many holiday palaces of the royal family, as well as holiday homes for the high-ranked official a few decades earlier. For instance, Princess Yizhen had a palace at the foot of Zhongnanshan, and Li Bai stayed there for many months in 731 CE. Wang Wei also built his Wangchuan villa there in the 750s, etc. However, by the 810s, many of these palaces and holiday homes were either abandoned or destroyed during years of political unrest and war. That is why this once beautiful mountain with splendid palaces and gardens was in such a sad condition. The following line tells us how sad the scenery had become. 鬼 means ghost. 雨 means rain. 洒 means sprinkle. 空 means empty. 草 means grass. 鬼雨 is a phrase invented by Li He. No one put these two characters together before him. Modern Chinese sources interpret 鬼雨 as rains mixed with the rotten smell of the dead bodies. So David and I translated it as miasma. Then I talked to one of my friends who is also passionate about the Chinese poetry. She commented that miasma is too narrow a phrase to describe the implied meaning here, and suggested that I translate it literally as ghost rain, and leaving room for the audience's imagination. As I mentioned earlier, at the time when Li He composed this poem, the Tang Empire had gone through years of political unrest and war. There were wars between the loyalists and the warlords. Conspiracies, murders, and coups happened all the time at the court. This is why the imageries of 鬼雨 or ghost rain and 空草 empty grass appeared together here, form a haunting scenario where all the splendid structures had become ruins and a mist of miasma hanging over empty grass. So the two lines can be translated as, how sad is the southern mountain, a drizzling ghost rain sprinkling the empty grass. 长安夜半秋，风前几人老。低迷黄昏尽，袅袅清丽道。长安 refers to the Tang Dynasty capital, Chang'an. 夜半 means midnight. 秋 means autumn. 风 means wind. 前 means in front. 几 means how many. 人 is usually translated as person. However, here it refers to a person who just lost his or her life. So David and I translate it as life. The character 老 normally means old or getting old. As in the phrase 我老了 I'm getting old. However, sometimes it also means to die in everyday conversation to replace the horrible word of 死 or die. Just like we usually would not use the word dead when talking to someone who lost a loved one. We would use phrases such as passed away or departed, etc. So 老 here means die. The phrase 低迷 has many meanings. It could mean low in spirit, blurred in landscape, or slump in economy. Since we are talking about a scene in the dusk here, David and I translate the term as 地. 黄昏 refers to dusk. 静 means pause. The character 鸟 has 3 different scripts. It initially refers to the silk ribbon tied to a horse as shown in this painting. The yellow ribbon flying in the wind is the imagery evoked by the character 鸟. However, this character somehow is also written in the second script to describe the slender body of a young girl. But the most intriguing change is the third connotation when the character is used in pair as 鸟鸟. It refers to the rising smoke disappearing into the blue sky, and this is how it is used here. David and I talked quite a long time what are the scenario our poet Li He was presenting in this poem. I read many of my Chinese sources, including histories about this period. I suggest that this poem might be written from the point of view of the ghosts leaving Chang'an. They were killed in the midnight at the capital, their lost souls floating around Zhongnan Mountain and did not know where to go. As the officer in charge of the rituals for the royal clan, Li He performed the ritual to lead these lost souls from the Zhongnan Mountain to their resting place in the hills north to Chang'an, where the royal cemetery was located. I marked the locations of these 3 places on this map. It looks like it was quite a long journey. Apparently, these people died in Chang'an, but why the poet started his ritual from Zhongnan Mountain? Well, maybe the Zhongnan Mountain were their favorite places during their lifetime, and their souls hanging around their holiday homes at Zhongnan Mountain after their death. So Li He had to perform a soul-gathering ritual called 招魂 at Zhongnan Mountain, and then lead their lost souls to the royal cemetery to the north of the Chang'an. So 鸟鸟 here refers to the translucent souls following the lead of the ritual officer. Here is a contemporary procession leading the souls of a dead person to his or her grave. The banner in the front is called 引魂幡, or the guiding banner for the souls. So David and I translate 鸟鸟 as disappear. 青 means dark green. Li refers to oak trees. Dao means path. So David and I interpret last 2 lines as the scene saw by the newly dead. At the dusk, on a dim path among the oak trees, the lost souls of the newly dead, led by the royal ritual officer, floating to the royal cemetery where their graves were opened up, waiting for them. So we also inserted their spirits in the third line. So this is how we translate these two couplets. At the capital Chang'an's autumn midnight, how many lives were taken by the wind? The path from there is dim at dusk, and their spirits disappear like a line of smoke into the dark green oaks. What do you think of our interpretation and translation of these two couplets? Please let us know in the comment section. 月无树无影，一山为白晓。栖居迎新人，幽旷萦扰扰。月无 refers to midnight. 树 means tree. 无 means without. 影 means shadow. 一 means one. 山 means mountain. 一山 here is used as a measurement unit like 一尺 or a foot of something. Here it refers to the whole mountain lightened up with white light of the early dawn. 为 means there is only. 白 means white. 晓 means dawn. 漆 refers to lacquer. 炬 means torch. 七炬 refers to the torch used in tombs to guide the souls to their resting place, as shown in this painting. So David and I translated the term as ghost land. 迎 means welcome. 新人 normally refers to the newlywed in modern Chinese. However, here the term refers to the newly dead. So David and I translate it as the new arrivals. Yu means dark and deep. Kuang refers to the huge pit of a grave. So Yu Kuang refers to the deep pit of an open grave. Ying refers to firefly. Rao means to bother or to disturb, as in the phrase of 打扰. When used in pair, it means annoying. Since our poet is talking about the fireflies, David and I translate it as buzzing around. So these two couplets can be translated as: at midnight, the trees are without shadows. The whole mountain whitens like dawn. Ghost lamps welcome the new arrivals like fireflies buzzing around their open graves. As you can see, this poem is about a ritual of guiding the newly dead to their resting place. David and I interpret this ritual as one for members of the royal clan because Li He was Feng Li Lang, or the ritual officer for the royal clan. He only performed the rituals for members of the royal clan. As I mentioned earlier, it is quite peculiar that the ritual started at the Zhongnan mountain. But it makes sense that such a ritual should start there because the newly dead would not be able to make their way to their resting places to the north of the capital. It was quite a long journey. As I explained in my introduction, the newly dead were not ghosts yet before they crossed the Amnesia River or the Chinese Lethe River. A whole set of rituals were to be performed before they could cross the Lethe River. If they died of violent death, more complicated rituals should be performed to pacify their angry spirits. Leading the newly dead to their resting places was just one of the critical rituals to be performed. Another issue I would like to talk a little bit about is the different attitude towards the ghosts and other supernatural entities during the Chinese Ghost Day and Halloween. In the old world, the All Souls Day is not just about warding off the evil spirits, but was also celebrated to commemorate the passed away loved ones. And the hollowed pumpkins with the lit candles were initially lights, leading the ghosts to visit their homes and their living families. By the time the holiday was brought to the North America, the Halloween became a carnival for both the dead and the living, as well as having a lot of fun. And the trick-or-treat of children for candies brings so much joy for them. The fear of evil spirits and demons seems completely gone. Well, with the Chinese Ghost Day, the traditional taboos are still very much alive. You can check out my earlier video on the Chinese Ghost Day for the details of the day. Here's the link. I think the biggest difference is how children celebrate these two holidays. In the West, the kids are encouraged to go out with other kids, although under the watchful eyes of their guardians, by themselves to visit their neighbors for candies and other goodies. This is a lovely tradition to build a community cohesion, although I have my reservation about giving kids so much candies. In the Chinese Ghost Day, children are closely guarded during this time, let alone to allow them venture out by themselves. This is because the Chinese believe that a child's 10 souls are not yet completely integrated as a unit, especially before he or she reaches his or her 7th birthday. So, if they go out by themselves, there is a risk that an evil spirit or a ghost might steal 1 or 2 souls from them. When a child lost a soul, all sorts of symptoms might appear. The child might lose his or her ability to speak, or cry constantly at night, get sick, or even fall into a coma, etc. A common practice in rural China is called 叫魂, or call back the souls. That is, take a piece of a child's clothes and walking around the places where the child used to hang about, while calling the name of the child until one reaches the child's home. This was still practiced when I was living in a village as a child and might still be practiced in some area in China. I would love to hear your story about any interesting rituals about the ghosts and other supernatural entities. Please let me know in the comment section. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about the classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and traditional Chinese medicine. Please click the like button and subscribe my channel. Your support is very important to me. I need small donation to my channel. It's much appreciated so that I can dedicate my time and energy to make better videos for you. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So, if you would like to have personally tailored lessons on these subjects or read a classical Chinese text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time.